Hello. Today I'd like to show a devious trap in the Alekhine Defence. The reason this trap is quite appealing is because we don't have to compromise on the quality of our moves in order to get there. It's just sort of something that naturally happens out of the opening, and I'm going to show you how it happens, how we can win a piece in just 6 moves with black. Now, this does come out of the Alekhine Defence. Interestingly, you can also get to this position via the move order, via the Scandinavian move order: d5, knight c3, knight f6. However, if you are a Scandinavian player, I wouldn't necessarily recommend playing this way, because in this position, black actually has a better move, that is d4. Followed by e5, when black will gain a lot of space. So even though you can do that, and you can consider that if you're a Scandinavian player as well, this is mainly going to happen out of the Alekhine Defence. So that is the move knight f6 on move 1, and then knight c3. So knight c3 is sort of the most common way of not playing into the Alekhine Defence. Of course, white should probably play the move e5 here, after which black moves the knight, and white can chase it around again, but this is getting into a very complicated opening that is also very tricky, with great chances both sides. White has a lot of space, but black will try to undermine later. But this move knight c3, I think, is surprisingly common, actually. A lot of my over-the-board games, when I played the Alekhine Defence, when I have played it, have seen knight c3, like almost probably around half of them, because people don't really want to take on the challenge with e5, I guess. Who knows? Now, the move that I'm recommending here is d5. And, okay, so this attacks the pawn on e4, again, as we did with our opening move, and white has to make a decision. Now, white should probably make either one of these two moves that I've highlighted here. So they should either take on d5 or play e5. And after e5, this is where the trap begins. So we play the move knight f to d7. Obviously, we can't play knight d5 anymore because we've got a pawn there. So knight f d7, attacking d5 pawn. White should white should defend it. Now, white can capture this pawn on d5, but then we simply take back on e5 ourselves. We're attacking this knight, and it has to move again. So knight e3, and now there's quite an important decision, I think, for black. It's important to stop white from playing d4 and kicking away this knight, and we can either do that by playing knight c6, or I think this is a bit better to play c5, which stops this d4 move. And it's also quite pleasant that if c3 is played, we can give this check with some problems for white. But against d4, which is probably the best move, we can play this move c5. Well, doesn't this look like it's hanging the pawn on d5? Well, yes, it does. But that is the whole point of this trap. And as you can see from the database here on the right side of the screen, what I have this set to is blitz games on lichess above 1600, and knight takes d5 is the most common move, and knight takes d5 is an inaccuracy. Knight takes d5 is not losing for white, but it is a bad move. So White should probably play something like f4 when we can take on d4. They can take back with the queen, and then we can play e6, and later we'll attack the queen. And okay, it's a French style position. But after the move knight takes d5, which is a mistake, we can take on d4. And White thinks, well, haven't we just won a pawn here? Well, we'll see. So the move queen takes d4, and now here is the moment that black can win a piece. What should White do instead of taking on d4? Well, actually, according to the computer, White's already in some trouble here. White should play the move e6. And here we have a secondary idea, which is to play queen a5 check. This knight has had the, when we took on d4, we took away the possibility for this knight to retreat to c3. And so we are going to be able to pick off this knight. White is attacking this knight on d7. However, after the line c3, queen takes d5, takes on d7, and bishop takes d7. Black is just better here. White will have to take on d4 at some point, and they'll have a poor version of an isolated pawn. Black has a bit more development, and after some continuation such as this, black will play bishop g7. There's going to be a lot of pressure on this pawn, and White doesn't have any of the normal features that you would like in compensation for an isolated pawn. There's no advantage in development. White's pieces will be passively placed, and black will have the advantage. After the move c takes d4, well, I'll give you an opportunity to spot the move if you'd like. Now, a funny story. I have had this position in an over-the-board classical game, and I played the move knight to c6, which is a blunder because it doesn't win a piece. Had my opponent played the move queen e4, they would have been okay. But instead of that, they played the move queen c3, and then I simply played e6, and I'm again winning because the knight has to give up the control of the b4 square. I've also opened up the bishop with this move, and thus the move bishop to b4 will simply win the game. White can stop this, but only at the cost of the d5 knight. And I managed to win that game in the end, even after this double or even triple blunder, you might say. The correct move, which I would play if I ever get this position again, is knight to b6. And it almost comes from nowhere. The queen on d4 is undefended, and thus the knight on d5 is pinned. So we can simply play knight b6, attack the knight again, and win a piece. Now, there are two options here for White to try and sort of make the game a bit tricky. The first one we're going to look at is the move c4 to defend the knight. And here we play e6, we attack the knight again, it's still pinned. And now White can throw this tricky move bishop g5 at us. But here it's important to not play the most common move, queen d7 here. Queen d7 will be the move in a different line that looks very similar. But in fact here we want to play the move bishop to b4 check. This takes advantage of the fact that the knight is still pinned to the queen. And thus White has no better option than king e2 here. And after this we can play the move queen d7. And if a3 driving away this bishop, we go back to f8. That's why this is a sequence that's probably worth remembering, because it is a bit tricky to find. Because after a3, if we play bishop to a5, b4 could come. It's still good for black, even after bishop to a5 b4, but it's, I think, needless complications. Will just be up a piece. Thank you very much. And if rook to d1, knight to c6, then we'll take on e4 and play knight to e7. We're attacking this pawn again. Queen b5 check could come. White does have some compensation in the form of 2 pawns in the middle of the board, but the extra piece and the fact that the white king is only 2 are enough to that black is winning this game. We also have ideas like queen g4 coming up shortly to exchange queens, because the bishop on g5 is also undefended. So the move that's more commonly played here is bishop b5 check. Bishop b5 check, and we play knight c6. Obviously we're not threatening the queen, but we could be in a moment. And now white plays c4 again, but this makes a slight difference, and we'll see that here. So we again play e6, bishop g5 again. There's really no other options for white that make any sense other than just giving up this piece, and if they give it up this way, then we'll be able to simply take on d5, and they'll only have 1 pawn. So yeah, bishop g5 again. We do not want to take on g5 here, because knight c7 and queen d6 would be checkmate, so don't fall into that. But we can simply move the queen up to d7, and now after queenside castles, we'd simply take the piece on d5, and now in this position we take on d4, and that's the difference between the other line. We're now able to do this because the piece, we're not losing a piece this way. Bishop takes d7, rook takes d4. We're still up a piece for 2 pawns, except this time we've managed to get the queens off, and we're winning. So the fact that the knights came to, that the bishop came here, and we got to develop the knight, means we can go into this line. And yeah, if you don't believe me, you can just look at the computer here. This is this is minus 4.5. The pawns may look a bit scary, but they can't really move anywhere. Like if ever d6 is played, it'll be easier to undermine. And if e6 also is not very realistic, because the pawn on because the bishop is defending that. If d6, potentially this bishop can come to c6, and we can get some nice control of d5. All in all, this is winning for black. And as you can see from the lichess database as well, it's not one of those positions that's exactly difficult to play. Black is crushing it here in almost all of these lines, which shows that not only is it a good opening materially, it's also giving black great chances to win. So yeah, that's a quick review. I'll just show us again how we got here. So we played d5 here. As you can see, this is the second best engine move. Black can also play e5, but that goes into a Vienna, and white might be a bit better prepared in that if they play knight c3 against the move e5. So that might be one of the reasons why this doesn't score so well for black online. I think if we looked at the masters, then it would be fairly even. Yeah. So d5, e5, knight fd7. We're again playing simply the best moves, d5 and d4 and c5. So we just simply play all of the best moves, and we win after the most common move here, which is really quite shocking. Obviously, white doesn't have to go into this, but as I explained, and as you can see from the statistics here, you're going to get this quite a lot of the time, which are the 2 points in this opening's favor for me. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you catch some unsuspecting 2 knight c3 players in this trap, and thank you very much, and goodbye.